In the annals of outlaw biker history, one name stands out.
He is a legend in the club community, and he was an early Hell's Angel out in California when I'm talking, the love and all that kind of stuff in the 60s was going on. He took the stage in Hell's Angel 69.
Picture this. A 6'2", 210-pound giant with massive arms and shoulder-length black hair, arrested countless times, yet never convicted of a felony. A man who, in just 2 years, spent over $2,500 on legal fees, equivalent to $21,000 today. A star of the silver screen who allegedly sparked a fashion trend with a simple pair of cut-off gloves. Terry's life was a whirlwind of rebellion, excess, and mystery. From his 3-year stint in the Coast Guard to his untimely death at 30, every chapter of his story raises more questions than answers. How did a tree trimmer and mechanic become the face of the world's most notorious motorcycle club? What really happened on that fateful night in February 1970?
Because everybody else said it was just an overdose. That's what the media said and everything like that. But when you get an insider actually tell you what was going on around those times, it just blows your mind away.
Join us as we unravel the enigma of Terry the Tramp, a tale of brotherhood, betrayal, and a legend that refuses to die. The truth may surprise you. Terry the Tramp, a name that echoes through biker history, evoking images of freedom, rebellion, and a life lived on the edge. Born John Terrence Tracy on December 21st, 1939, Terry seemed destined for an extraordinary life from the start. After finishing high school, Terry joined the Coast Guard in 1957, seeking adventure and a break from the ordinary. He served for 3 years, but the regimented life of the military couldn't contain his restless spirit. Upon leaving the Coast Guard in 1960, Terry embarked on a journey that would define his life and cement his place in outlaw biker lore. Terry's post-military years were marked by a series of odd jobs and constant movement. He worked as an actor, laborer, mechanic, and tree trimmer, never staying in one place or profession for long. For a brief period, he even secured a position at a General Motors plant on the assembly line, though this job wouldn't last long due to negative media coverage of the Hells Angels. This peripatetic lifestyle led him to cities across America: Detroit, Fresno, Long Island, Los Angeles, Norfolk, and Sacramento. It was this constant wandering that earned him the nickname Terry the Tramp, a moniker that would stick with him for the rest of his life. Standing at an impressive 6 feet 2 inches and weighing 210 pounds, Terry cut an imposing figure. His massive arms, full beard, and shoulder-length black hair made him stand out in any crowd. Hunter S. Thompson, the famous gonzo journalist who would later write extensively about the Hells Angels, described Terry as having a wild, jabbering demeanor not calculated to soothe the soul of any personnel specialist. This description captures the essence of Terry: wild, unpredictable, and utterly unconcerned with societal norms. Despite his rough exterior, Terry had a softer side. He was married twice and fathered 3 children. His first marriage came after dropping out of college, resulting in 2 children. A second marriage followed, bringing another child into the world. However, his wild lifestyle and involvement with the Hells Angels put a strain on his personal relationships, leading to 2 divorces. Terry's life was a constant balancing act between his family responsibilities and his desire for freedom and adventure. As the 1960s dawned, Terry found himself drawn to the emerging outlaw biker culture. Little did he know that his decision to join the Hells Angels would set him on a path that would make him a legend in his own time and beyond. The 1960s were a time of profound social change in America, and nowhere was this more evident than in California. It was in this turbulent decade that Terry found his true calling with the Oakland chapter of the Hells Angels.
Since 1948, they have been fixtures on the American scene. Leather-jacketed so-called angels who cultivate and relish their image as mythical outlaws.
This wasn't just any motorcycle club. Under the leadership of the infamous Sonny Barger, the Oakland chapter had become the epicenter of the Hells Angels world. Terry fit right in with the Oakland Angels, his wild spirit and imposing presence making him a natural fit for the outlaw biker lifestyle. He quickly became a central figure in the club, known for his hard partying and fearless attitude. The Oakland chapter, with its reputation for toughness and its close-knit brotherhood, became Terry's new family. Under Barger's leadership, the Oakland chapter grew in power and influence.
People are in love with that image. I think it's a sense of freedom for a lot of people who otherwise don't get to actually live it, so they live it through other people.
They were feared by many, misunderstood by most. But for Terry and his brothers, the club was home. The Angels lived by their own code, rejecting society's rules in favor of a life of freedom and brotherhood. Terry embraced this lifestyle wholeheartedly, becoming one of the most visible and memorable members of the club. Terry's time with the Angels wasn't all smooth riding, however. The club's activities often brought them into conflict with law enforcement and rival gangs. In one incident, a house Terry was renting in East Oakland was firebombed in a revenge attack. The resulting fire destroyed much of the house and ruined many artworks belonging to Terry's partner at the time, Marilyn. This incident was just one of many that highlighted the dangers of the outlaw lifestyle. Despite the risks, Terry remained committed to the Angels. He became known for his loyalty to the club and his brothers, as well as for his wild antics and fearless attitude. Terry's reputation grew both within the club and in the wider world of outlaw bikers. He was seen as the embodiment of the Hells Angel spirit, free, wild, and utterly uncontrollable. As the 1960s progressed, Terry's fame, or infamy, depending on who you asked, continued to grow. His exploits with the Oakland Hells Angels would soon catapult him into the spotlight, making him one of the most recognizable figures in the outlaw biker world. The Oakland chapter, under Sonny Barger's leadership, had effectively moved the power base from Southern California to Oakland in the early to mid-1960s, solidifying their position at the heart of the Hells Angels organization. Terry the Tramp wasn't just a wild partier. He was also a true outlaw, with a rap sheet as long as his arm. His list of arrests reads like a catalog of countercultural rebellion, petty theft, battery, rape charges, narcotics offenses, and even public cunnilingus.
Well, it's August 5th, Thursday night, we're on the freeway now, heading over to the Bay Bridge over to Oakland to pick up Terry the Tramp. He was one of the guys arrested in the Monterey rape situation.
Yet remarkably, despite this impressive array of charges, Terry managed to avoid any felony convictions in his 27 years of life. This ability to walk the line between legality and criminality was a point of pride for Terry. He never saw himself as a criminal in the traditional sense.
"I've never thought of myself as a criminal,"
he once said.
"I don't work at it, I'm not greedy enough. Everything I do is natural because I need to."
This statement perfectly encapsulates Terry's philosophy. He wasn't breaking the law for personal gain, but simply living life on his own terms, societal norms be damned. However, even Terry recognized that he was pushing his luck.
"I guess I'm pushing my luck, even if I'm not a criminal,"
he admitted.
"Pretty soon they'll nail me for one of these goddamn things, and then it's goodbye, Terry, for a whole lot of years."
Hey brothers, tired of YouTube's BS and censorship? It's time to break free. That's why I've shifted gears to Patreon, where I can bring you the raw, uncensored content you crave. Join my Patreon crew and get an insane package deal. Exclusive early access to all videos, days before YouTube, 100% ad-free viewing experience, uncensored, no-holds-barred community discussions, double the content, 2 killer videos every single week, VIP access, direct interaction with yours truly, inside scoop, exclusive biker world updates you won't find anywhere else. But wait, it gets even better. The first 10 members get free access. You heard that right, free. Ready to join the elite? Hit that Patreon link now. Your support doesn't just keep us rolling, it fuels a revolution of uncensored, unrestricted content. Join now and unlock a world of exclusive benefits. This prescient statement hints at the darker turn Terry's life would eventually take. Despite his numerous arrests, Terry's total jail time amounted to only about 6 months, 90 days for trespassing, and the rest for traffic offenses. This relatively light punishment, given his extensive rap sheet, was a testament to Terry's ability to navigate the legal system. However, it also made him a target for law enforcement, who were increasingly frustrated by their inability to put him away for good. Terry's frequent run-ins with the law came at a cost. In just 2 years, from 1964 to 1965, he paid approximately $2,500 to bail bondsmen, lawyers, and traffic courts, a significant sum in those days, equivalent to over $21,000 in 2024 dollars. Like many of his fellow angels, Terry blamed the cops for forcing him into a life of full-time outlawry. This adversarial relationship with law enforcement was a key part of Terry's identity and the Hells Angels culture as a whole. As Terry's notoriety grew, so did the attention from law enforcement.
At about this time, some half-dozen motorcyclists invaded a bar and brutally beat an old man and attempted to abduct the barmaid. What was that? That was a crock of shit. There was about 20 of us rode in, stopped at this bar. We was all just looking for another place to drink, get out of downtown, because the people were all down there, you know.
4,000 people watching.
Yeah, that's it. There was 4,000 people downtown, you know, and they wondered why trouble starts.
What was the reason for going down there? Why did you select Porter?
It's just a small town stuck out in the middle of nowhere, and they got a 10-to-1 ratio of women to men. You know, it's a groovy little place, just up in the mountains and everything. You know, it's a nice ride.
How many guys were there?
A couple hundred.
So you had all the same, all the clubs?
Yeah, all the clubs were there.
All right, we'll go have the old man there.
And we pulled into that bar. We went in the bar, and 2 of the angels from Martinez got in a fight with each other. So well, anyway, they got in a fight in the bar, and we broke it up right away. You know. And there was a couple chairs kicked down and the table broke or something. I mean, it was a good brawl.
He became one of the most arrest-prone of all the angels, with cops seemingly offended by his very existence. This constant tension with the law would play a significant role in shaping Terry's fate, pushing him further into the outlaw lifestyle and setting the stage for the dramatic events to come. As the 1960s progressed, Terry the Tramp found himself thrust into the spotlight. His charismatic presence and wild lifestyle made him a natural fit for the growing media fascination with outlaw biker culture. This attention reached its peak with Terry's starring role in the 1969 film Hells Angels 69. While the movie was largely an exploitation film, Terry's natural charisma shone through, outshining even the professional actors.
He kind of stole the show with Hells Angels 69, and he was very popular with that counterculture, Ken Kesey and people in the bands and whatnot.
Terry's appearance in the film cemented his status as a cultural icon. His distinctive style, a red bike with ape-hanger handlebars, cut-off gloves, and his imposing physical presence became synonymous with the outlaw biker image. He was no longer just a member of the Hells Angels. He was becoming the face of the entire outlaw biker movement. Interestingly, Terry is credited with starting the trend of cut-off gloves. As one Slaves member recounted, on a hot summer day, Terry took his winter gloves and cut the fingers off, sparking a fashion trend that remains popular in biker culture to this day.
Terry was a guy that had a lot of style. I had one of the St. Slaves tell me he was there when it was this hot summer day, and Terry took his winter gloves and cut the fingers off and started a whole new fad that's still popular today.
However, this newfound fame came with a price. Within the Hells Angels, particularly the Oakland chapter, Terry's rising star began to cast a long shadow. Jealousy brewed among some members who felt that Terry was getting too big for his boots. There were whispers that he was more concerned with his own fame than the good of the club.
Over the years, running around the outlaw bike circles, jealousy became more and more an issue between members as time went on, and just the popularity of biking, and certain people stood out and other people wanted to know why they didn't stand out.
At the same time, the Hells Angels as a whole were undergoing significant changes. New rules were being implemented, including a ban on needle drugs and heroin.
What you have to understand is the club was going through a transition back then. There were new rules being introduced to people, and one of them was no using needles. A lot of the guys were shooting drugs. This was the 60s, and people were shooting drugs and even heroin.
The club even launched a PR campaign with the slogan, "No Hope with Dope," complete with billboards.
It got turned into a big campaign. The Los Angeles Hells Angels had a giant billboard along with the San Jose Hells Angels, and it was "No Hope with Dope." It was a big campaign.
This shift was partly in response to growing public concern about the Angels' involvement in the drug trade.
There were a lot of allegations that Hells Angels were supplying narcotics to everybody up and down the coast and later across the country, and this was done in an effort to stop that publicity.
Terry found himself caught in the middle of these changes. On one hand, he was the perfect poster boy for the wild, free-spirited image the Angels wanted to project. On the other hand, his hard partying lifestyle and growing individual fame made him a liability in the eyes of some club leaders who were trying to clean up the Angels' image. As tensions rose within the club, Terry's position became increasingly precarious.
Drug rule ultimately got Terry the Tramp kicked out of the club or pushed out of the club.
He was too popular to ignore, too visible to control, and too unpredictable to trust. The very qualities that had made him a star within the outlaw biker world now placed him in a dangerous position. Unbeknownst to Terry, dark plans were being set in motion that would bring his meteoric rise to a sudden and tragic end. February 13th, 1970, marked the end of Terry the Tramp's wild ride. At the age of 30, he was found dead, reportedly from an overdose of secobarbital, a popular barbiturate at the time. Initially, his death was written off as just another casualty of the hard-living outlaw biker lifestyle.
Because everybody else said it was just an overdose. That's what the media said and everything like that. But when you get an insider actually tell you what was going on around those times, it just blows your mind away.
However, as the years passed, a darker truth began to emerge. Rumors began to circulate within the biker community that Terry's death was not an accident, but a carefully orchestrated murder. The story that eventually came to light was shocking, even by outlaw biker standards. Terry had not died from an accidental overdose, but from a hot shot, a lethal dose of drugs administered with the intention to kill.
He basically told me, George, that wasn't an overdose, that was a hot shot. And anybody that doesn't know what a hot shot is a dose of narcotics used to basically kill somebody, to murder them. And that's what he described happened to Terry.
Even more shocking were the allegations about who had ordered the hit. According to multiple sources, including former Hells Angels who later turned informant, the order had come from none other than Sonny Barger himself.
Sonny Barger allegedly ordered a hit on Terry the Tramp.
Now, in the past, I've told this story, and I've always omitted, under whose direction this was, but, everybody's kind of figured it out by now, and Sonny's gone now, and yeah, it was Sonny.
The man who carried out the deed was known only as Animal, a trusted member of the Oakland chapter.
Animal was from Oakland, but a lot of people didn't realize that he lived in Los Angeles. He lived in Hollywood, and he was a stuntman. And although he lived in Hollywood, Animal hung out with the slaves along with myself. Animal didn't hang out with the Los Angeles Hells Angels. Oakland and Los Angeles were at odds, so there was a lot of tension anytime the two charters got together. So he just avoided it, and, he hung out with me on a personal level, or he would, come down to a slave party or go to the slave bar or whatnot.
George Christie, a former Hells Angel, later revealed that Animal had confided in him about the murder. The motive for Terry's murder remains a subject of debate.
I've got some private moments with Animal, and one of them was when I was having those conversations about Terry. He said something to me that was very profound, and to me, it really kind of gave me the impression he wasn't real proud of what had happened and what he had done, and somehow maybe he was trying to find penance. And
some say it was jealousy over Terry's growing fame and popularity. Others point to disputes over money, possibly related to drug deals or Terry's involvement in the Hells Angels '69 movie. There were rumors that Terry was a co-producer on the film, which may have caused financial tensions within the club.
And part of it was jealousy. I think most of it was jealousy, but there was also some money involved. I had heard that Terry was a co-producer on Hells Angels '69. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know there was a lot of money for LSD floating around, and there were arguments about things, and you have to understand, some of this stuff was confirmed by the vice president, or former vice president, George Weatherin, in his book. I think it was Wayward Angel was the name of it. And, it's got a lot of information in it. It's not written very well, but he basically says the same thing, except he said he heard a tape recording of Terry struggling for his last breath.
Whatever the reason, the decision had been made at the highest levels of the club that Terry the Tramp had to go. In a final, chilling detail, it was reported that after administering the fatal dose, Animal called Sonny Barger to let him listen to Terry's last breaths over the phone.
And he had so much venomous attitude towards Terry. He had Animal and the other Hells Angels that were there call him so he could hear Terry struggling for his last breath. He did not want Terry the Tramp on this planet any longer.
This act of calculated cruelty marked the end of Terry the Tramp, silencing one of the most colorful and controversial figures in outlaw biker history. Yet even in death, Terry's legend continued to grow. The attempt to silence him had the opposite effect, turning him into a martyr and an even bigger icon of the outlaw biker lifestyle. Today, decades after his death, Terry the Tramp remains a subject of fascination for bikers and non-bikers alike.
So, that's the story of Terry the Tramp. I know he's very popular. He's even more popular in death than he ever was alive.
His style is still imitated, his story still told, his spirit of rebellion still admired. Terry the Tramp's legacy is complex and contradictory, much like the man himself. He was a rebel, a criminal, a party animal, and a tragic figure. His life and death serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of living on the edge, but also as an inspiration to those who believe in living life on their own terms, no matter the cost. In the end, Terry the Tramp's greatest achievement may have been his ability to embody the spirit of an era, the freedom, the excess, and the danger of the 1960s outlaw biker culture. After his death, Terry's family had his body exhumed and reburied at the Calvary Catholic Cemetery and Mausoleum in Sacramento County, California. This final resting place seems at odds with the wild life Terry led, but perhaps it's a fitting end to a life that defied easy categorization. His memory rides on, forever wild, forever free, forever Terry the Tramp.